Welcome, another Square and Compass live stream. I hope everybody's doing well. Maybe. Hold on just one second. I can just get this in here. There we go. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know how you guys are doing and how your weekend went and what you have planned for the week. We, as always, here to talk about Freemasonry. Today, as tomorrow is November 11th, tomorrow is Remembrance Day here in Canada. If I recall correctly, it's Veterans Day or Memorial Day in the States. I forget which. I think Veterans Day. But it's a day to honor American veterans as well as kind of many veterans around the world. I want to talk about some Canadian Masonic soldiers, some famous Canadian Masonic soldiers. And also, I wanted to mention, or I guess the way I should put it is Canadian veterans of soldiers who are also Freemasons. I guess the way I should also, mention is we have a brother here in Windsor, historian, who's written and been involved in several memorials and written several books celebrating or commemorating military history, specifically in Windsor and Essex County. Brother Gene Lotz, who's been on my podcast before. Is your Masonic Lodge doing anything to celebrate? And so I'm hoping that I can learn about some of the things that other lodges have planned. But as always, the first hour is just us hanging out, waiting to see who wants to join and who wants to chat. So, and if you're not a Mason, then by all means, maybe you can answer the question not in terms of anything Masonic, but just in terms of yourself. Will you be attending any Remembrance Day services or ceremonies, wearing a poppy, doing a social media post, whatever it might be? Let me know in the chat. And let's give it a few minutes and let's wait and see who joins. As always, the first hour is us just hanging out and chatting. The second hour is when we start on the main topics. And then also, I did post on social media, including on YouTube, what I have planned for the 21st of November. Normally, 21st of November, I would be holding a 24-hour live stream, which are always a lot of fun. Today, or this month, on the 21st, I have a third degree. I have a Master Mason's degree in my Mother Lodge, so I cannot hold a 24-hour degree, 24-hour stream, I should say. Instead, I will be holding a couple of exclusive YouTube streams, one exclusive for my YouTube membership and one exclusive for my Patreon membership. And I'll give some more information about that shortly. 1X23, yes, red poppy in Canada. They're red. I understand in other places they might be white, if I recall correctly, but in Canada we have red poppies. So, how is it going? 1Hex23. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. Well, and in Canada as well. I think it might be in the Commonwealth, Richard. Welcome, Richard, by the way. Thank you for being here. I think in Commonwealth countries, England, Canada, Australia, I think it might be red exclusively. Or maybe not. Maybe just Canada and England then. In Australia, red poppy is used to celebrate. I'm not sure what that is. Hello, Pro Rainbow 2025. Thank you for being here. Pro Rainbow, Richard, I think you both might be new to this stream. I talk about Freemasonry. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. I hope you're doing well. I can Google it for a few moments. Okay, so War Dead on Anzac Day, so not Remembrance Day. It looks like you, I don't know if you guys have Remembrance Day as well, or if you have Anzac Day exclusively. Thank you, Pro Rainbow. Looks like it's Australians and New Zealanders. What day is Anzac Day normally? Could be. I mean, our Remembrance Day is November 11th. Um, oh, it looks like April 25th is Anzac Day. Okay, very cool. Thank you for sharing that with me. I truly appreciate it. I actually have had on the podcast a few soldiers to talk about anything from PTSD to camaraderie and brothership, the history of soldiers involved in Freemasonry, which is pretty incredible, as well as historians on to talk about the same. Thank you, Pro Rainbow, for subscribing. I appreciate you being here. Let me know if you have any thoughts or questions on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear them. And we're just going to give it a bit of time. The first hour is just me hanging out, waiting to see who's going to join and anything that they want to talk about. I also did a um, poll question or quiz regarding one Mason who is also a very important kind of famous Canadian military hero. His actual Masonic regalia is held at the Canadian War Museum, name of General Sir Arthur William Curie, from 1875 to 1933, asking if you know uh, the successful attack for which he is known, or during which battle did he lead the successful attack? Well, then your dad must be a very handsome fella, Bushes. Thank you for being here. Please take a moment, if you can, hit the like and subscribe button. I would truly appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. By the way, I got a lot of exciting things coming up. Like I said, I've shared a lot of them on my socials, which is why it's important that you're subscribed, you follow my posts. We have a lot of very exciting events happening, some exclusive live streams, Patreon and member exclusive live streams, as well as a trip to Scotland in less than 2 weeks. I love to travel. I consider myself a professional traveler in some ways. Um, and it's been a couple months where I've been mostly here in Windsor. So getting to travel outside of it again and travel over an ocean across the pond, if you will, I'm very much looking forward to. We're just waiting to see who else joins. For now, like I said, the first hour, I don't have any specific topics. It's the second hour that I start on specific topics. Today, Freemasonry and Remembrance Day is probably going to be the focus. But for the time being, we just got to wait to see who wants to join. And please, as always, hit that like and subscribe button. Consider doing a super chat. Even 99 cents helps out big time. Hello, I'm sorry, I cannot read that. I can try to do a Google Translate. And hello, Jocelyn. How's it going for you? I hope that you're doing well also. Thank you for being here. Well, Stabworthy, don't I mean I don't know what's going on in your life. I'm sorry to hear that is kind of how you feel. I hope that maybe you don't give up on trying a regular psychiatrist. I think sometimes you don't know until you try, and you don't want to, you don't want to prejudge anything. So maybe try to talk to somebody and give it a shot. What do you have to lose, right? What am I doing to celebrate Remembrance Day, Pro Rainbow? Well, yesterday, Sunday, November 9th, I actually posted some pictures of this on social media. We had our Essex County District Remembrance Day service, which was very cold, very chilly, but very fun. I attended that, and I um, laid a flower on the War Memorial in Malden Park, wore my regalia, all that good jazz. And tomorrow I will be attending the Remembrance Day service at the Cenotaph in Windsor, and also posting content information about Canadian military history and Freemasonry, not limited to, but including Essex County District military history and Freemasonry on my social media sites. No, I got what you were trying to say. Ali TGEAI, welcome. Jocelyn, it is chilly in Canada, stab worthy. Well, again, I mean, you do what you can, right, with what you got. So it would be my hope that it'd be my hope that you could find a way to get some help and try the once a week for $80. Who knows, right? You never know, and I think I will always kind of promote, encourage the idea of talking to a professional. Even if you don't think it's going to help, um, give it a shot. And if you're saying that's what they recommend, then maybe talk to some people about ways to find support. If I see pancakes and coffee, it looks like someone's having breakfast in the emojis. I love breakfast as well. Or stab worthy. I hope you find some people to talk to. And I'm happy that you're here at least on the stream, if nothing else. As always, we're just hanging out, chatting, waiting to see who else joins. No rush. Please. Well, I mean, then if that is what is being recommended by your psychiatrist and by your doctors, then maybe you need to take some time in an institution. There's no shame in it if you think that that will help. At the end of the day, right, I'm not a doctor. All I can say is you should listen to professionals and listen to your doctor. We got some hearts. I'm hoping that might be Smokey. If it is, welcome, Smokey. Thank you for being here as always. I hope that you are doing well. Sorry, I cannot read what you're saying there. Let me try to potentially translate this. What's going on, Mizan? Thank you for being here. We do meet again. How is it going? I hope you're doing well. Don't forget to hit that like button if you get the chance. All right, I have not. I'm just trying to share something on here for our Russian viewer. We got more hearts. I'm thinking it might be Smokey. Veterans Day. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was Veterans Day or Memorial Day. I couldn't remember which it was. But there you go. So yeah, I mean, I should have said Remembrance Day or Veterans Day or whatever it might be. Like I said, we had a really fun, really great, well, not fun isn't the right word, a really solemn but respectful, and I mean, it was enjoyable in some ways. You see your brothers, you're hanging out with them. That's always enjoyable. Um, um, Thank you, Mr. Keeps. Well, we had a Remembrance Day service at the Masonic Memorial in Malden Park. What's really interesting is it is the exclusive Masonic War Memorial that exists within a national park. I had a really weird dream about Mason a few days ago. I was in it. Well, I mean, normally, I'm not sure how I feel about people dreaming about me, but hey, you want to dream about me, you go right ahead. Maybe it encourages you to join. Who knows? Um, Cancel for 2 weeks. That's okay. Sometimes you can't do it at exactly the time you want, right? Whether you do it tomorrow or 2 weeks from now, it's the thought that counts. But yeah, it's a really cool little piece of factoid. There is one Masonic War Memorial that exists in a national park, and that is right here in beautiful Windsor, Essex County. Towik, you can't just write it. You got to actually do the super chat. Having said that, thank you so much for that, Tofik, I should say. Mr. Keeps, I hope your dream was a good dream, is what I'll say. Sometimes really weird can be good. Who knows? I spray Febreze in the air and I roll through it in the morning and I let the mist wash over me. So whatever type of Febreze, is on sale at the time. Ocean Meadow, I think is what it's called, or Spring Meadow, something like that. By the way, as I was saying, and I did post this, normally on the 21st of every month, I have a 24-hour live stream that goes from 2 p.m. on the 21st to 2 p.m. on the 22nd of each month. And I love those, they're very fun. However, this month, on the 21st, my lodge is holding a third degree. We're raising a Master Mason, which is obviously a very important degree. Every degree is important, but third degree can feel very important and is very important for the membership and the candidate. And I have a part to play in that. Also, I need to spend some of the 21st getting ready for my trip to Scotland, to England and Scotland, which I leave on the 23rd. So I won't be doing a 24-hour live stream in November. Instead, I'm going to be hosting two exclusive live streams. I will have my typical open 1 p.m. live stream just like this. Anybody who's online can check it out. Then at 2 p.m., I'm going to have a live stream exclusive for Patreon members. Whether you're a paid member or a free member, that is an exclusive for Patreon members. The link is available through our Patreon, patreon.com/squareandcompass. That'll be from 2 to 3. And then from 3 till 4, I'll have another exclusive live stream. That'll be exclusive for YouTube members or YouTube membership. The reason doing is I'm hoping to encourage more people to sign up for some of these memberships, whether it's at the paid level or the free level, like on Patreon, by doing more exclusive live streams, talking to them directly and giving them a chance to maybe talk about what it is that they would like to see from Square and Compass Promotions, topics they want discussed. Well, obviously, I care about what my entire audience thinks, and would love to learn. I'm always looking for thoughts, comments, criticisms, critiques, ideas, whatever it is from them. I do want to make sure that I'm giving my members, either Patreon or YouTube members, the chance to speak to me directly and give me their thoughts and their ideas. Because obviously, if you're kind enough to be signing up for memberships, I want to make sure I'm, if nothing else, paying extra attention, perhaps, or maybe prioritizing to a certain extent your thoughts and your ideas and your comments. Cam, we got two Camerons. I'm Cameron. We got a Cam. Tell us about the 32nd, 33rd levels and what goes on at those levels. Well, I can't tell you a ton for two reasons. First, I'm not a 32nd or 33rd degree Scottish Rite member. I'm 18th degree Scottish Rite. I'm a member of Rose Croix. And also, even if it was, for example, the first 3 degrees, I can tell you general kind of thoughts and philosophies, but I can't tell you specifics because they are private ceremonies or rituals. 33rd is an honorific, right? So you cannot apply to join the 33rd degree. That's an honorific. It's an invited degree. Basically, if you're a 33rd degree Mason, it's a sign, 33rd degree Scottish Rite Mason, I should say. It's a sign of respect. It's a sign of dedication to the craft. The presumption is you've done a great deal and dedicated a great deal of your time and efforts to Freemasonry in general and the Scottish Rite in particular. And then you're 33rd. You get in Canada, and I believe in other places, you get like a brooch type thing you can wear to demonstrate your that rank. 32nd degree is the highest rank that you can get without invitation. It's called consistory. Now it's got a couple different names, if I recall correctly, because there's the southern and northern jurisdictions. So in the southern jurisdiction, 32nd degree is known as Master of the Royal Secret. In the southern jurisdiction, in the northern Masonic jurisdiction, it's called the Sublime Prince of the Royal Secret. Here in Canada, if I recall correctly, it's also called the Master of Royal Secret. Because Canada tends to base more of itself on southern jurisdiction, even though we're north. If I recall correctly, if I recall correctly, it's meant to symbolize love, brotherly love, as a gift amongst his members. However, it's usually represented by the double-headed eagle, is the symbol. Beyond that, I'm not a member of it, so I can't say anything more. And even if I was, I could only speak in generalities. But the symbol is usually, like I said, the double-headed eagle. Thank you. Yeah, and a lot of people, Cam, don't know that there is in Scottish Rite a northern and southern jurisdiction, as well as a Canadian jurisdiction, which modeled itself much more so on the southern jurisdiction. But that's why degrees can have different names. Didn't Biden become a Mason? That is open eyes. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Please hit like and subscribe. That is open for debate. No, there's disagreement about that. I would say yes, but you'd have to ask, a lot of Masons have different opinions on it. What happened is on the last day of his term of office, so January 19th of, I guess, 2025, President Joe Biden hosted a whole bunch of community groups and organizations. I think it might have been at the White House. I forget. And it was, every president and prime minister, for that matter, does it. They just bring a bunch of guests and community groups to the White House or to a photo op. They all stand in a line. They'll go, they'll shake his hand, they'll get a picture with him. They give him sometimes some type of token or gift or plaque or whatever it is. I remember when I worked in the prime minister's office as an intern, he'd go to these events, Stephen Harpwood, and there'd be a ton of people waiting to meet with him from different community groups and organizations. The Prince Hall of South Carolina was one of the groups meeting with the president. When they met with him, they shook his hand and they gave him a plaque, making him an honorary member, or member at site, I should say, of Prince Hall Freemasons in South Carolina. If I recall, it was South Carolina. Anyways, there's debates as to whether you can make a Mason on site, whether it's legitimate to make a Mason on site, whether Joe Biden even accepted the gift. He accepted it, like he held it, but that doesn't mean he actually accepted the membership, right? Because it's one of those things where you're not necessarily going to know what every person in the lineup is going to say to you. You're going to know, so he might have invited that particular Masonic jurisdiction because maybe they had done fundraising for veterans efforts or fundraising for a food bank or something, communications based, who knows. community-based, without knowing that they were going to offer him or make him a member on site. So there's debate as to whether he actually agreed to become a member or not, or said, oh, he'll be a member. Um, Whether maybe they even told him or just gave him the plaque and said, hold this. Um, you know, Having said all that, I do believe it is legal. This is my opinion based on the jurisprudence, Masonic jurisprudence. I do think it is Masonically legal to make somebody a Mason on site by a Grand Master. President Taft was made a Mason on site. Um, and to me, unless I hear definitive proof otherwise, I'm going to believe President Biden is a Mason of Prince Hall in South Carolina. That doesn't mean he could meet everywhere, because Prince Hall, South Carolina is not recognized in every jurisdiction around the world. But even Ontario, but I'm just of the view, until I hear otherwise, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Masonic membership, which really is not what you're supposed to do, but I believe in giving the benefit of the doubt. Open eyes, I hope I answered your question well. So yeah, short story, on January 19th of this year, President Biden, in a lineup of visitors, met with the Grand Master of the Prince Hall Masons of South Carolina, shook the Grand Master's hand, accepted, or at least took a plaque, making him an honorary or a Mason on site, whether that's legitimate or not. Different people have different ideas. I miss Harper as well, Mr. Keeps. I liked Stephen Harper quite a bit. It's not as though I met him or spent a ton of time with him. I was lucky enough to meet him on a few occasions. He was very nice, and I think he was a very good prime minister. Um, Again, it's one of those things where, to his credit, I had forgotten about this, but to his credit, in his first year, um, he did actually, him and obviously Finance Minister Flaherty and his administration did post a $9 billion surplus, which was the first one since uh, Paul Martin. A couple years later, obviously, he had the record deficit, 55 billion, which was a record at the time, highest deficit at the time. However, it was during the Great Recession, and it was funding Canada's Economic Action Plan. At the time, I was opposed to the Economic Action Plan. I thought it was because had different politics then. But looking back on it, actually, I think it was one of the greatest achievements of any prime minister. I don't know since maybe Trudeau Sr. brought in the Constitution. I mean, repatriate the Constitution. That economic action plan, bringing Canada through that Great Recession, providing an incredible amount of services, jobs. I don't know. I think Stephen Harper deserves a lot more credit than he gets for that plan, for the way he led Canada through the Great Recession. I think he did a really good job. So yeah, I miss him as well. Certainly, if you had to ask me my opinion on, and this is me, Cameron, not speaking for Mason, just speaking for myself, my opinion on, some of the better prime ministers we've had in Canada, Stephen Harper would be up there. You're welcome, Open Eyes. Have you been here before? I forget if you've been on the stream before or not. As you may know, I am a Freemason. I talk about Freemasonry Mondays through Fridays, 1 p.m. Eastern. Just take general questions and thoughts from people. I speak exclusively for myself, right? I don't speak for any other Masonic group. I also write about Freemasonry, do social media posts about it. Yeah, and I liked his book too. Do I still have it? I don't remember where I put it now. He wrote a book. If I could find it, I'll track it down. The Right Way, I think it was called, something like that. It was good. I never got told off by the Prime Minister. Um, he was very friendly to me. I got, might have got told off by others, but I never got told off by the Prime Minister. He was very friendly. I say that. I met him it was always kind of in passing, or it was one of those situations again where you're in the lineup with 50 other people and you go, you shake his hand and he says a couple nice words. Um, or when he came to Windsor. But every time I met with him, he was incredibly friendly. And very kind, as was everybody when I was an intern in the office of the Prime Minister. Incredibly friendly, incredibly kind. I worked with a lot of great people. So again, I say worked with. I was an intern. I got coffee and was very quiet and listened to what people were saying, and tried to learn from them, whatever lessons I could. Welcome, Lon. Thank you for being here as always. I hope that you are doing well. To everybody watching this, please, as I was saying, don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button. Let's give it a little bit more time. The first hour, we just hang out and chat. The second hour is when we start with our specific topics. Again, in this case, military history, Canadian military history, and Freemasonry. We'll talk about some more, famous Canadian soldiers who are also Freemasons. But the first bit of time, we just wait to see who joins, and anything they want to talk about. Positive, negative, or neutral. All right, let's give it some more time. Like I said, let's wait to see who joins. Please take a moment. Hit that like button. Hit Ted East. Welcome. Thank you for being here. I hope that you're doing well. As always, please. Oh, Michael. Just happened by. What's happening, Mike? Hello, Michael Robinson. I'm Cameron. I'm here chatting about Freemasonry. I do this every Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. as well as 1 a.m. So if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear them. Any questions about Freemasonry? Same thing. Um, Anything you want to chat about. Once we get about an hour in, so 30 more minutes, we're going to start talking about some famous Canadian soldiers who were also Freemasons. Um, because tomorrow is Remembrance Day. By the way, on my personal YouTube channel, I will be streaming from the cenotaph, talking about Freemasonry. It's from the cenotaph talking about Remembrance Day and the Windsor Remembrance Day services. In terms of this question, is your Masonic Lodge? We got 6 yes and 6 no's. Anybody who said yes, I know my dad already said so, but let me know what your Masonic Lodge is doing for Remembrance Day. Could be anything from a social media post to laying a wreath to a unique Masonic ceremony. So yeah, let me know. Okay. Going to be rewatching Band of Brothers. Um, never watched it before. So, but I've heard it's very good. So it's on my list of things to watch at some point. A Halifax judge told that workers in his court. Never heard that, but that seems weird. I don't know why the Halifax judge would do that. Like, sometimes, um, whatever your feelings are, sometimes you just got to read the room and be smart, and not pick foolish battles. That sounds like a pretty foolish battle to me. Jesse James, Band of Brothers is my favorite show. All right, Jesse James. So, do you enjoy other shows about combat and veterans? Like Tour of Duty, I think was one from back in the day. MASH, right? Or Band of Brothers in particular. I'd be curious to know if any of the actors in Band of Brothers were Freemasons. I'd be curious to know, or any of the characters on which they're based. I'm 25, but MASH I grew up on. Okay, I said I never really watched any shows about the Second World War or Korean War, I think, or Vietnam War, which I think MASH was. I never was into like military movies or television shows or recent military history. I enjoy ancient military history. Like I enjoy Rome and Greece, but never got into the modern stuff so much. Maybe because it's so, it's still within people's lifetimes. And because it's so much within people's lifetimes, it's harder to read about that stuff in a more clinical way or for entertainment. In the way I can read about, I can watch Gladiator, which I liked a lot. I can read about the Battle of Cannae or um, the Peloponnesian Wars or the Punic Wars, whatever it is. You can read about that. You can read about all the deaths, the Gallic Wars, all the deaths, and you can still read it as entertaining or entertainment because it was, what, 2,000 years ago? I liked Gladiator the movie quite a bit. I enjoyed it a lot. Um, I have no idea what any of that means, Jesse James. I mean, I'm glad that you're trying to be or you are a great warrior. Foreign volunteer fighter from California. So are you saying you joined uh, like a foreign military, like the French Legionnaires? Um, right? Maybe the most famous foreign fighting force. George. George. Hello, George. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Okay. Well, which foreign militaries did you join? And please hit like and subscribe. Well, I think I'm a human being. I mean, how could I ever know for sure? Uh, because what if I was an AI programmed to think I'm a human? But to my knowledge, I'm a human being. Uh, because at this point, you have to be a human being to join Freemasonry. If I was an AI, they wouldn't let me join. Okay, well then, Jesse, keep yourself safe. You and your brigade. I think to anybody who's fighting in any of these battles in any of these wars, we just hope and pray that you are safe and that your colleagues or your comrades are safe. This is a poppy. Wait, yeah, I think they do, right? Because poppy seeds, but I never thought of that before. Well, this is a poppy in honor of Remembrance Day. Well, really, in honor of all of the Canadian veterans who lost their lives, who went over to fight, who were injured, and obviously even those who returned home. But to honor all of our veterans, perhaps especially those who passed away in battle. Um, right? And their willingness to fight for their bravery, their courage, their willingness to fight for our freedoms, their sacrifice, um, as well as always the sacrifices of their families who had to watch them travel overseas, not knowing if they'd return home, in many cases not returning home. So yeah, you wear the poppy in honor of Remembrance Day, um, and which is tomorrow. Like I said, I will be attending the Cenotaph Memorial Service uh, in Windsor. Yes, I remember hearing about that and reading about that. Actually, I don't think I ever read about it, but seeing information about that on the news, like an anniversary of that, and a Heritage Minute. Well, they did a whole episode about that on Seinfeld. I remember that episode of Seinfeld where Elaine kept on testing positive for opium because she was eating poppy seed bagels. Um, Dr. Seuss. Well, Anzac, I just discovered that is a Australian New Zealand commemoration. We wear this in honor of Remembrance Day in Canada, which takes place November 11th. So sorry, Dr. Zeus. Um, yeah, so it's not the same. It's not the same poppy. It's a different poppy. But I never even put two and two together. That that could be right. That the name. I never even thought like poppies, poppy seeds, anything like that. Um, I never even thought of that. But yeah, well, because the poem, right? The in Flanders fields where poppies grow. Um, yes, I'm from New Zealand. Well, welcome, Dr. Zeus. It's great to have somebody from New Zealand. I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button. There's a lot of Freemasonry in New Zealand. I do these streams every um, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. as well as 1 a.m. streams talking about Freemasonry. So, any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, Dr. Zeus? Positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear them. But I just discovered ANZAC today. And like I said, it looks like I guess that's in April, where that's your day to commemorate Australian and New Zealand veterans. For us, it's Remembrance Day, November 11th. Same as in England and in America, November 11th is Veterans Day. They have Veterans Day and Memorial Day. Veterans Day is, I just relearned or confirmed November 11th. Okay, my grandfathers, both on my mom's and my dad's side, were Freemasons, as is my father. So I'm doing well. I hope you have a good day also. I don't know how big Freemasonry is within New Zealand. I know it exists and it's fairly, I mean, I know it exists in Australia and New Zealand. To my knowledge, it's fairly well established in Australia. Well, the cliche, but it's true, Dr. Seuss, is to be one, ask one. So if you'd like to join Freemasonry, the first thing you have to do is find a Masonic lodge within your area. Make sure it's legitimate. Um, right. Make sure it's a legitimate Masonic lodge and not just some guy in his garage calling himself Masonic. The way you do that is when you're first meeting with them, you ask them which Grand Lodge they're associated with. Um, but yeah, I mean, to my knowledge, New Zealand isn't that big, so you should be able to find a Masonic lodge within your area. You shoot them off an email, you knock on their door, you write them a letter, and you just express your interest in joining. It used to be big here. Unfortunately, Freemasonry used to be really big everywhere. The numbers have been declining in a lot of jurisdictions. Um, Not exclusively, not everywhere, but in many places, Freemasonry is on a significant decline um, in terms of membership and numbers of lodges. But you can maybe help turn that pattern around. Do lodges have their own libraries? It depends. It depends on the Masonic lodge, and more specifically, it depends on the building in which they are located. In Windsor, we do. Uh, for example, Philadelphia, they do. Um, but again, it just depends on the building itself. Almost every Masonic lodge, though, will. in the building it meets have at least a couple of bookshelves set aside with at least a few Masonic volumes and a few Masonic books. So you do see that to be the case. Um, but in terms of like an official, or not even official, but an unofficial library where brethren can meet, gather, take out books, return them. It just depends on the building if they have the space and the interest in doing so, and a brother willing to volunteer his time um, to curate those things, because that's the other issue as well, right? It's not just do you have a library, do you have a brother who can kind of keep track of the books you have, order new books, keep track of who has or has not borrowed a book, anything like that. Thank you for subscribing and thank you for hitting the like button, Dr. Zeus. To everybody watching this, you can also do a super chat. Even 99 cents helps out big time. Pastor Sempa, boring people get bored. That's one of my favorite quotes. If you're getting bored by the people of the world, may I suggest you look around a little bit. There's actually some pretty incredible things out there. I would say, one thing I would say is I don't find people boring. I can find them a million other things. Um, Very often I can find them a pain in the butt, challenging, difficult, frustrating, um, also wonderful. Like there's a million ways to find people. I would say boring is the last word I'd use to describe people. If anything, I sometimes wish they were less boring. Or sorry, sometimes I wish they were more boring. Um, More boring and less, you know, like I said, if anything, I would say my biggest issue with people is they're not boring enough. Thank you, Dr. Zeus. That's incredibly kind of you. I greatly, greatly appreciate that. Um, oh no, I get it, Pastor. I didn't take it personal. I didn't think you were saying me. I'm just saying, I don't know. I don't find people boring. Like I said, I can find them a lot of other adjectives, including at times frustrating, challenging, um, anger-inducing, but not boring. Like I said, sometimes I wish the world was a little bit more boring. The world is exciting enough, we could use a bit more boredom. Wolf Shanza, I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well also. Thank you for being here once again. I think, Dr. Zeus, you might be my first super chat from New Zealand. So that is much appreciated. Um, let's give it a bit more, as always, bit more time. At the 1 hour mark, I'll start talking about Freemasons and Masonic soldiers. Um, and Pastor, again, there are a lot of reasons probably to be depressed by the world. Um, and I get that. However, again, I don't know if I would say the state of the world would make me depressed. Makes me, or I wouldn't say it's boredom that should make you depressed. Things like war, right? That's a reason to be depressed. The fact that there still exists war and there still exists people harming one another. Fingers crossed that as time goes on, that becomes more and more of a relic of the past. Um, I also, by the way, and I would suggest everybody take a few moments to read this, the Grand Lodge of Scotland produced its annual report. Um, you can check it out. It's worth a read. Okay, that's awesome, Dr. Zeus. I hope you have success. Like I said, what you can always do is, because I don't know, some Masonic buildings are open to the public because they have tours and events and special tours, events, whatever it is, and they'll be open to the public. Sometimes you need an appointment. Oof. There we go. The best approach, I would say, is go there, knock on the door, but bring with you like a letter or a note So if nobody's available, I can put this on. Geez, Louise. So if nobody's available, you leave the letter just expressing your interest. Make sure it has your contact information on it, and they can get in touch with you um, when it is convenient for them, right? Because I don't want you to go down there and if nobody's available, it's kind of a wasted trip. Um, so just bring a letter with you expressing your desires and your interests. Well, so what did you think of it? I've skimmed it. I wouldn't say I've read it in detail. I've skimmed it. I enjoyed it. I do worry that with that report, as with so many reports I've read, it's focusing on the same things, not looking at enough creative options. I've said it before, right? The if the solution to Freemasonry were available within the existing structures of Freemasonry, we would have solved this problem decades ago. When I say problem, I mean the problem of reduction in membership, reduction in relevance. We need to be willing to look much more outside the box than we are currently, in my opinion. Having said that, I still I wish there's a little bit more looking outside the box. This is based on my skimming of it. Having said that, that was a well-written, professionally done report, and from a purely snapshot of Freemasonry in Scotland perspective, it was very well done. So it gave you a lot of information that membership would need to accurately kind of assess the current state of Freemasonry in Scotland. A state I cannot wait to attend or to see firsthand when I will be visiting beautiful Scotland in less than 2 weeks. London first, then Scotland. Well, London, then Newcastle, then Edinburgh. I feel sad, Dr. Zeus, when that happens as well. We're working on it. Have you ever been to Scotland? I have not. Well, when I was really young, I think I may have. I know I visited England several times when I was younger because my dad is from England, but I don't recall if we ever made it into Scotland. But I can't wait. It's going to be a blast. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Um, I'm going to be taking lots of pictures. And that's the other thing. During my time in Scotland, which is from the 23rd of November to the 28th, I'm not going to be doing the live streams. I will be posting um, on social media regularly. I plan to visit Freemasons Hall if I can. I plan to visit some Masonic lodges in Haltwhistle, in Newcastle, the Grand Lodge of Scotland, in Edinburgh. If I can, I don't know. Um, because it's just timing wise. I'm spending 1 day in Scotland, unfortunately. I wish I could be more, in Edinburgh particularly. And so if I had the time to, because that's not in Edinburgh, right? That's in Roslin, which is, if I recall correctly, I'm just looking, I'm going to look it up now. I believe it's about 45 minutes from Edinburgh. I was close, 56 minutes from Edinburgh. And the ceremony, I'm going to Edinburgh because I am nominated for a Masonic Award through the Arcana Veritas Distinction Awards, which I cannot wait to, I'm a finalist. I could win an award. It'd be an honor. Even if I don't, just be a finalist is incredible. That ceremony takes place on the 26th at 10 a.m. I'm assuming from 10 to about 12. So if I wanted to then go to Roslyn, there is a bus that takes about, sorry, the bus takes about 50 minutes to get there. Driving is half an hour. So it might be worth it if I could find a way. I don't know. Rosalind is potentially on the list. There was also, I learned of this place called Highland Springs. It's basically bungee jumping, zip lines, kind of fun stuff like that. I was thinking of going there and seeing if they let me do it. But that's like an hour from Edinburgh. What is the apron for? Welcome, Spirit. Thank you for being here. So, well, the apron is a badge of Freemasons, is what you often will see Freemasons wearing in their Masonic meetings or at their special events. It's basically like a Masonic uniform. It is symbolical. So Freemasons, obviously, we derived from stone masons, people who actually, men who built things with stone or shaped stone or worked with stone as their trade. They wore aprons to protect their clothes from any stains or spots or damage that could come from working with stone chips, whatever it might be. So we adopted that and we now wear them symbolically as a way to demonstrate that we are Freemasons and as a way to demonstrate or to um, I'm trying what the right word would be to demonstrate we are Freemasons and metaphorically to remind us to protect ourselves from vice or sin, right? In the way an operative Masonic apron, you protect yourself from literal stains or damage. It's a way to protect ourselves metaphorically from spot or stain. So yeah, whenever you hear about talking Masonic aprons, that's what you hear. I don't know if I'm going to bring my apron or not, though, Spirit. I've been debating it. In my experience, I try to travel light, travel far, is my philosophy. An apron is just one more thing to take with me. All the pictures I saw of award ceremonies in the past, well, there's only one award ceremony, or there was one award ceremony. This is the second year these awards exist. No one was wearing their apron. And if I were to attend a lodge meeting while I was there, or while I am there, I'd assume the lodge would have an apron for me to borrow. At least I would hope so. Travel light, travel far is good philosophy in my experience. So, but Rosalind, I should probably try to get there if I could. It does look pretty incredible. The other option is again is Highland Fling. Oh, but that's like an hour and a half from Scotland, from Edinburgh. That seems like it would be a real pain to get to. No worries, Dr. Zeus. I hope that your contact goes well. As Dad was saying, um, you know, a lot of times what happens is people get confused by lodge versus building. So there will be one Masonic building in an area, and they'll assume that means there's one Masonic lodge that meets there. But you can have multiple Masonic lodges meeting in the same building. Um, the way I always try to describe it is your Masonic lodge is like your sports team. Your um, building is like the stadium in which they meet. So, a good way to think about it again is you can have many different sports teams. Like you can have a local community soccer field or football field for New Zealanders, and you can have 4 or 5 different football clubs that play there on different nights of the week against different opponents. In the same way with Freemasonry, in my Masonic building, for example, it's one building, but there are 7 Masonic lodges that meet there, and they just meet there different nights of the week. And so that might be, again, Dr. Zeus, a benefit for you to know, because if there is more than one lodge that meets in the building, the benefit of that is, let's say you can't meet on Sundays, but you can meet on Tuesdays. Well, like, let's say there's a certain night of the week that's better for you. Maybe if there's multiple lodges, you pick the lodge that meets on the night that works best for you. I used to visit New Zealand 1974, 1976 when I worked on a cruise ship as an engineering officer. Um, yes, visited a few different places. Visited Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, British Columbia. I think I definitely got my traveling genes or my love to travel from my pops. And my mom too. My mom loved to travel as well. Welcome. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Let's give it a couple more minutes. If you are new to the stream, please take a moment to hit that like and subscribe button. We are going to, in a few moments, talk about some famous Canadian soldiers who were also Freemasons. In honor of Remembrance Day, in honor of the poppy I've got on. I keep it up here just so it's a little bit easier for people to see while I am talking, because I know it's supposed to be down a little bit lower. But yeah, I do want to give it a couple more minutes. And like I said, I just want to wait to see if anybody else jumps on to say hello. And to who, sorry, Wolf Shanza, if you, and Spirit, let me know how you're doing. Once you read the Grand Lodge of Scotland's report, let me know what you think. If you have any thoughts, comments, ideas on it. Again, positive, negative, or neutral. Every thing I say on this stream, as well as anybody who's on the stream, they're speaking for themselves, unless otherwise indicated. They don't represent any official Masonic positions, just our own positions within, based on our experiences within Freemasonry. How would you feel, Dad, if I were to go on a bungee jump? If I could. I don't know if they let me or not, but since I'm missing my legs, I don't know what the rules are about that stuff. I feel like I'm probably, but who knows? I don't know. The question is, what's better for content, perhaps Rosalind Chapel or me jumping off a really tall cliff. Have you got your new passport yet? Not yet, but it's on its way. I just got confirmation that it's been approved. So now they're just printing it and mailing it. So should be arriving shortly. Well, I have no legs, so I don't think, I'm a big dude. I'm 150 right now. I'm actually don't weigh as much as I used to. I weigh 150, but still, I don't think the weight would be the issue. I think it'd be my no legs that would be the issue. I'm going to ask this question because I'm curious. Can you bungee jump with no legs? Okay, so apparently we can. Apparently there was some lady who did a bungee jump in a wheelchair. That seems insane to me. I would never do that. I'd go without or not. I'd be more worried about the wheelchair getting damaged than me getting damaged. Apparently, I should live stream it, and if I get like $100 in $100 in super chats, I do it or something. But I should probably, if I'm being fair, I should probably actually go to Rosalind Chapel. I knew a life for like when you say jumping, do you mean I'm assuming you mean like doing para jumps, like military jumps? Well, my dad is English. My dad is England. My dad is English. Met a Canadian girl and moved to Canada. You know how that goes. Mothers, keep your sons away from Canadian girls. Um, and my mom's side, she was born in Canada. My grandparents were born in Canada on her side. I think there's some German or Dutch or Hungarian heritage to me, but that's going back a couple generations. Canadian and English is what I usually say. He could, but I mean, if he has a lodge that's close to him, I don't think there's anything wrong with just knocking on the door, dropping off a letter. Like I said, just make sure you have a piece of paper with your contact info on it because the most annoying thing that could happen would be to, um, uh, knock on the door. They're too busy to talk to you at that moment, and you don't have anything to give them. 82nd, there you go. Grind, welcome. Thank you for being here. Please hit like and subscribe. And then so you can email as well, though. Either way works. But I do think sometimes that first contact in person can be nice. That's pretty far back. Well, I mean, every heritage is decent. I shouldn't say that, but that's a decent genealogy, being able to go that far back. I know some people who've tried to create their family trees or tried to study and create a family tree and their genealogical history. I don't know many who've made it all the way back to the 1600s. So it's very impressive. So good job, Mr. Keeps. I don't know if no slavery. Freemasons do not believe in slaves, nor should they. Um, Freemasons believe in democracy. I would say slavery would be pretty antithetical to democracy and equality. I'm doing well. But no, Mr. Keeps, it's very awesome. And good for you. It also shows you care about your family, which is something I love to see, right? Taking the time to trace your genealogical roots. Good for you. Well, Jim Jones, I've got Jim Jones a few times in the past as well. So, I've got the Jim Jones thing. I've got a few different ones over the years. 20 votes, by the way. Let's see. 50-50. Those of you who said yes, Pops, I know you already said, but let me know what your, outside of my dad, let me know what your lodge is planning for your Remembrance Day services. Either it could be the day of, you could do something a couple days early, like I did. You could do, or like our district did. You could do a couple, something a little bit later, like my dad's lodge is doing. Um, I try to always talk good stuff. Well, I don't know if I'm that smart, or traditional or logical. I try to be. What I guess I'd say is I don't know if I'm smarter than anybody else. I'm probably smarter than some people and much less intelligent than many other people. What I would say though, I do think I'm pretty decent at talking. I know how to communicate effectively. At least I think I do. I try to pride myself on that. It comes in handy in Masonic Lodge meetings. It also comes in handy on YouTube. So maybe it's not so much that I am smart. It's just that I know how to talk in such a way that I appear smart. But if you want to be an effective Freemason, then you have to be a good communicator. Certainly, if you want to be a worshipful master or a secretary, you need to have really good communication skills, both um, in your ability to verbally communicate, because you need to be able to run a meeting effectively, but also in your ability to communicate in written, like communicate well in a written way, because you have to create your summons and your message. And you have to send out tons of emails and correspondence. So, um, yes, you need to have good communication skills and you need to have good patience. Patience is a virtue. Um, well, same vicinity. I mean, area vicinity. Obviously, there's always, I think, in my personal opinion, there's going to be within any family, when you're going back to the 1600s, there's going to be some drift. I don't expect a family to stay in, in the exact same area. Uh, Having said that, to stay even within the same vicinity is pretty good. And again, it shows you have a deep connection to that particular vicinity, that area, that kind of piece of your home. Well, it's not a cult. I mean, consequences, there really aren't a ton of consequences. You can, in theory, I mean, it also depends on the jurisdiction. I mean, it also depends on the rule you break, I suppose. The worst that can happen is a suspension from Freemasonry. Um, could be for non-payment of dues. Uh, Beyond that, you might get a reprimand, like a letter of reprimand. You might get somebody kind of doing this to you. But by and large, um, you're not going to. I mean, certainly all of the ideas around like Masons are out there unaliving people and things like that is a bunch of nonsense. It's primarily suspension from Freemasonry. Um, Off to work now. Have a good day. You as well, Dr. Zeus. Have a good day. Thank you for going well. Well, there's no loss of any limbs. Um, I was born missing my legs. The Freemasons didn't do this, I promise you. We're going to give it a little bit more time, maybe another 3 or 4 minutes. Then I'll start talking about Right Worshipful Brother Sir Arthur William Curry, a notable Canadian and Mason, and a notable veteran, a notable sergeant. We're going to provide information about him. Prepared for Sarnia District by Very Worshipful Brother Marshall Kern, Grand Historian and Sarnia District Historian and Librarian. Swedish. Okay. I always was confused. I always thought like German, Hungary. I wasn't quite sure. So Swedish. So there you go. I've got some Swedish genes within me. Um, oh, well, I mean, yeah, I think, Christopher, you need to treat being a worshipful master like Game of Thrones. Just take one member out right away. That way the rest will fall in line. But sadly, the police aren't going to go for that. So, not to mention Grand Lodge isn't going to go for that. So, what can you do? You know, I am Cameron. I am Cameron. Cameron Adamson. And thank you again, everybody who has joined us thus far. It's not too late. If you're new to the stream, you can hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It would be greatly appreciated. Metaphorically, Cameron the Pimp. Metaphorically, not literally. Just want to make that clear. But metaphorically, sure. I'm pimping life, if you will. Well, it is a Scottish name, right? Cameron is a Scottish name. My pops, being from Northern England, lived very close to Scotland. Some of that Scottish heritage made its way to me. So, Welcome, Slee. Thank you for being here. Please hit that like and subscribe button. We are going to give this a couple more minutes. 24 votes. Yes, 12. No, 12. Okay. Amen, indeed. Okay, so let's get started. As I said, because today is the day before Remembrance Day, my poppy, I want to take a few moments to talk about Right Worshipful Brother and Mason, Right Worshipful Brother and General Sir Arthur William Currie. He was a veteran. He lived from December of 1875 to November of 1933. This information was prepared for Sarnia District by Very Worshipful Brother Marshall Kern, Grand Historian and Sarnia District Historian Library. Outside the Strathroy Museum, Strathroy is a city within Ontario, on Centre Street and not far from the Lodge Hall used by Beaver Lodge number 83, is an imposing bronze statue of Sir Arthur Currie. The plinth on which the statue is mounted notes that it memorializes General Sir Arthur William Currie, General Officer commanding the Canadian Corps from 1917 to 1919. There was a time when the honorifics and post-nominal letters would be promptly recognized. GCM, G, KCB, and VD, those are the honorifics. Now, some research is required to realize how prominent Sir Arthur Currie was during his life. There are 3 published biographies of Sir Arthur Currie to consider. Most of the material deals with his military career. He was a diligent planner and very concerned to minimize the loss of life amongst his troops. We recall him today as the leader of the successful attack on Vimy Ridge in World War I. He had a unique distinction of starting his military career on the very bottom rung as a pre-war militia gunner before rising through the ranks to become the first Canadian commander of the 4 divisions of the Unified Canadian Corps of the Canadian Expeditionary Force. He was the first Canadian to attain the rank of full general. Currie's success was based on his ability to rapidly adapt brigade tactics to the exigencies of trench warfare, using set-piece operations and bite-and-hold tactics. He is generally considered to be among the most capable commanders of the Western Front and one of the finest commanders in Canadian military history. He commanded the 1st Canadian Corps in France in the War of 1914 to 1918, from June 1917 to the signing of the armistice. There is more to his life than his military career. Arthur Currie was born in Napperton near Strathroy. The Dictionary of Canadian Biographies describes his early life as being filled with challenges. His studies and circumstances led him to become a teacher. He abruptly left Strathroy for the West Coast. There he became a teacher and made contacts through several activities. It was in British Columbia that he changed the spelling of his name to Currie. He married in 1901, had a son and 2 daughters. The records of the Grand Lodge of British Columbia and Yukon document that he was initiated into our fraternity August 3rd, 1898 in Vancouver, and Quadra Lodge number 2. He was a worshipful master of the lodge in 1904, having earned the esteem of the brethren. He became District Deputy Grand Master of Victoria District in 1907. So he was initiated into Freemasonry August 3rd, 1898 in Vancouver, Quadra Lodge number 2. Sir Arthur Currie left his military service in 1920. He became the principal and vice chancellor of McGill University in Montreal. The Canadian Encyclopedia records that he was extraordinarily successful as a university administrator. A plaque on the memorial at Mount Royal Cemetery explains, during his tenure, new buildings and departments were added and the worldwide reputation of the university much enhanced. There was a controversy about his decisions as World War I came to a close. that led to a lawsuit for libel, which he won. Um, he died November 30th at the age of 58. The funeral for Sir Arthur Currie and the procession to the cemetery were noted as being the largest in Canadian history at that time. He was buried with full military and academic honors. Interesting enough, though, it doesn't mention if he was buried with a Masonic service as well. It doesn't look like there's a square and compass on his gravestone. His family donated several Masonic items to the Canadian War Museum. Among them are a Master Mason apron and both a past Master apron and collar that were presented to Right Worshipful Brother Arthur Currie on his return to Victoria in 1919. We in Sarnia District can recognize the abilities and achievements of a brother originally from our home. So that is, again, Right Worshipful Brother Sir Arthur William Currie. To go through his Masonic history, he became a Freemason in 1898 under the auspices of the Grand Lodge of British Columbia and Yukon. He joined Quadra Lodge number 2 in Vancouver. He was Worshipful Master of that same lodge in 1904. He became the District Deputy Grand Master of Victoria District in 1907. Upon his passing, his Masonic regalia was given to the Canadian War Museum. Master Mason apron, both the past Master apron and collar, presented to the Right Worshipful Brother on his return to Victoria in 1919. It would actually be really cool to visit the Canadian War Museum and see if I could actually see those items. I do want to make it back to Ottawa at some point soon because I miss it. So, Ottawa is an incredible, incredible city. You can actually, if you go to the warmuseum.ca/collections, you can find it. Artifact number 1980122634482. Interesting. It was manufactured in Winnipeg, Manitoba. There you go, Dad. His Master Mason's apron. I don't know if it's on display in the public side of the building, or public side or the public display area. And also his PM collar, which is actually listed, it's called a sash, funnily enough, but it's his PM collar. Artifact number 198012226. But thank you, everybody, for joining. So that was one brother I thought is worth sharing, Sir Arthur William Currie. There are many others. Joseph Brant, we've already talked about, a prominent Mohawk leader who served with British forces, who settled in Ontario. John McGregor, he fought in both World Wars, and he was awarded the Victoria Cross. You can listen to me and talk at this and respond, Dad. It's fine. And I always appreciate people asking questions. John McGregor, actually, I'll mention this because John McGregor is a Victoria Cross recipient. And by the way, there will be a quiz for all of this. Born 11th of February, 1889, in Scotland, actually. William McGregor, with a name like McGregor, it's not a surprise. Thank you, Yuri. I agree. He was the son of William McGregor, farmer Jesse, He was educated in Cluna School, Name Academy, married November 15th, 1923. Um, let's see if I can find the information about him. So he immigrated to Canada in 1909, trained as a mason and a carpenter, an actual stonemason. Later worked for contracting business in BC. In 1913, he was a trapper. In 1915, he was joined the Canadian Mounted Rifles. Um, he traveled to the United Kingdom in 1915. Um, he saw action at Vimy Ridge, 12th of May, 1917. He saw action at Passchendaele in Belgium, returned to Vimy Ridge on January 1918, the Battle of Amiens, September 29th, 1918. He became a Freemason at Tyee Lodge, number 66 in Prince Rupert, Canada. Moved to Powell River, BC. Let's see if I can find a more. Here it is. I'll do his. We'll do the Grand Lodge of British Columbia. Hello, Babu87. Please hit like and subscribe. I would truly appreciate it. Freemasons built Powell River. Let's see. I am not a Freemason soldier. I am a Freemason. Here it is, Freemason City Hall. So today's Powell River City Hall was once the Westview Post Office. It's called the McGregor Building after Lieutenant Colonel John McGregor, the most decorated Canadian soldier of the First World War and a member of local Tryon Lodge. Here it is, John McGregor. We're going to use the Wikipedia article. I found a couple of them. John McGregor, who was born from February 1889 to June of 1952, a Scottish-Canadian soldier. McGregor was a recipient of the Victoria Cross, the highest and most prestigious award for gallantry in the face of the enemy that can be awarded to British and Commonwealth forces. McGregor served in the Canadian Army in both World Wars. He was born in Cowder near Nairn in Scotland in 1889, moved to Canada in 1909, served in the Army from 1915 to 1919. He was 29 years old and a temporary captain in the 2nd Regiment, Canadian Mounted Rifles, Canadian Expeditionary Force during the First World War, when the following deed during the Battle of Canal du Nord took place, for which he was awarded the Victoria Cross. During the period 29 September to the 3rd of October 1918, Captain McGregor acted with the most conspicuous bravery and leadership. He led his company under intense fire and, although wounded, located and put out of action enemy machine guns, which were slowing the progress, killing 4 and taking 8 prisoners. He then reorganized his command under heavy fire and in the face of stubborn resistance continued to advance. Later, after a personal daylight reconnaissance under heavy fire, he established his company at Neuville St. Remy, thereby greatly assisting the advance into Tilroy. He was initiated to Freemasonry in Tyee Lodge number 66, Prince Rupert, British Columbia, passed to the 2nd degree March 1920, and raised to the Master Mason degree March of 1921. After serving World War II, he joined Westview Lodge number 133 in Powell River, British Columbia, in May of 1950. MacGregor served again after the First World War from 1940 to 1946, achieving the rank of lieutenant colonel. So Babu87, please like and subscribe. But I think that's a couple of Masonic soldiers I want to mention. First, John MacGregor for his Victorian Cross receipt. Arthur William Curry, Right Worshipful Arthur William Curry. There's several others. There's actually a list on Wikipedia, and some I found outside of it as well. Joseph Brant, we've talked about in the past. He was a Mohawk leader, settled in Ontario. He actually fought in the Revolutionary War. In terms of flying, Captain Arthur Roy Brown was a World War II. I guess he was a member of the Canadian Air Force. I guess it's called the Flying Aces. Credited with 10 aerial victories. And I guess he fought the Red Baron, the famous Red Baron. Let me see if I can find. I don't have any information about his Masonic history at this point. Tell the story of Leo. I'm not sure who Leo Major is. I don't believe I know of a Mason who was a soldier named Leo Major. Well, there you go. Getting ready for the upcoming Kwanzaa holiday as well. You can do both. You can get ready for both Remembrance Day and Kwanzaa. Another Victoria Cross recipient, Masonic soldier, was Alexander Roberts Dunn. He was born in 1833, died 1868. He was actually the first Canadian to be awarded the Victoria Cross. It's the highest and most prestigious award for bravery in the face of the enemy. That can be awarded to British and Commonwealth forces. There's a article written about this brother through the Scottish Rite of Canada. I mean, I think all holidays are made up by humans, definitionally, right? It's not as though before humans existed, we were celebrating any holiday, whether it be Kwanzaa, Christmas, or anything else. Now, you could argue whether the reasoning behind the holiday is made up or not. I think everybody kind of will decide that for themselves. But the idea of a holiday is human, right? So, Scottish Rite, Hamilton Valley of Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry in Canada, they wrote a blog post about Alexander Roberts Dunn, which I can read here. It depends who you ask. I don't think so, Steve. Remembrance Day in Canada is a day we honor the many brave men and women who fought and died for our great nation. This story is about one such Canadian, Alexander Roberts Dunn, the first Canadian to be awarded the Victoria Cross. He was born in York, later Toronto, in 1833, studied at Upper Canada College and Harrow School in England, and purchased his commission to the Hussars in 1852. The Victoria Cross was awarded to Dunn for his actions at the charge of the Light Brigade during the Battle of Balaclava on October 25th, 1854. At the time, he was 21 years of age and serving the British Army's 11th Hussars. Of the 110 cavalrymen in Dunn's regiment, only 25 survived, and 2 of them had Dunn to thank. While retiring from the battle, Dunn saw Sergeant Bentley struggling with his wounded horse and noticed he was about to be attacked by 3 Russians. He galloped to his aid and killed the assailants, put Bentley on his horse, and set the horse to the British lines. Then, while on foot, Dunn caught sight of Private Levet, who had lost his mount and was about to be cut down by a Russian hussar. He rushed to his aid and killed the enemy with his saber. So I am 42 years of age. If I found myself in a battle and saw Russians on horseback riding towards me with swords or guns or bayonets, I would be a quivering pile of fear and indecision. I'd like to think I'd be out there saving my brothers, and hopefully I would, but I'd suspect I'd actually be quite terrified and not knowing what the heck to do. This guy, half my age, 21 years of age, was so brave he rode into battle, protected his comrades, managed to take out four of the enemy, and brought his two, I guess, servicemen or countrymen back to safety. And that would be actually probably about 10% of the survivors, because 25 survived. At the end of the Crimean War, Dunn sold his commission but rejoined the army in 1858 as a major in the 100th Regiment. He was actually killed during a hunting accident at 34 years of age, so way too young. Alexander Roberts Dunn was a member of Ionic Lodge number 18, now number 25 in Toronto, Ontario. That was provided by the Scottish Rite, Hamilton Valley of Ancient Accepted Scottish Rite blog. Who knows? I don't know if we're ever as brave as we think we'll be until we're tested. Having said that, there's no question when it comes to bravery. Alexander Roberts Dunn demonstrated a great deal of bravery, well deserving of the Victoria Cross, the first Canadian to be awarded the Victoria Cross. Member of Ionic Lodge number 18, now number 25 in Toronto. Thank you, everybody, for allowing me to take some time to mention a few Masonic veterans, Masonic heroes. There are many others that you can mention as well, obviously. I'm not even nearly as exhausted, or this is not an exhaustive number, by any means, or exhaustive list. You could also mention and to everybody watching this, don't forget, it's not too late. You can do a super chat. You can hit the like button, subscribe button, share this stream. It's been snowing here as well. I posted some clips on my personal YouTube channel. It was very snowy and very freezing at our Remembrance Day service yesterday for Essex County District. But we still did it, so... and credit to everybody who showed up to freeze to death. Somebody pointed out, though, as we were all complaining about the cold weather and the snow, what we were going through was nothing compared to what soldiers were going through in World War I, World War II, Korea, Afghanistan, and everything in between. We had it easy compared to what a soldier goes through. Baston, that was wasn't that the Band of Brothers? What the Band of Brothers dramatized? I remember reading about a war, a battle or location which people were, the soldiers were literally freezing to death in France, because it was so cold. So maybe that was Battle of the Bulge I'm thinking of, but just from a weather perspective. But don't forget, even, oftentimes soldiers are dealing with both, or could deal with both, right? You're either you're freezing to death, probably at the Battle of the Bulge in Ardennes. Like I said, I read about a battle where soldiers were freezing to death. It was Stalingrad as well. I remember hearing about soldiers freezing to death. Or in some cases, it's the other way. It's insane, brutal heat. Certainly, I would imagine a lot of soldiers, Canadian soldiers who fought in Afghanistan, in the Middle East, had to deal with the opposite. I cannot imagine the heat. I was in the Middle East for a day, not even a day, for a night, and I found it too hot. So, like I said, a little bit of cold, a little bit of snow is nothing compared to what our military veterans have to go through. General James Wolfe. Um, he was born in 1727, passed away 1759. He saw extensive service in Europe during the War of Austrian Succession, the 7 Years' War. He was born in Kent. However, he moved to Quebec. Yeah, she was described, or possibly dubbed, the hero of Quebec, the conqueror of Quebec, and also the conqueror of Canada. Hello, Richard. How's it going? Thank you for being here once again. He apparently was a Freemason himself. There will be some questions about this, by the way. There will be some quizzes about some of the things I've talked about. So answer those on our community section. And tomorrow I will be live streaming some of the Remembrance Day services. General James Wolfe. Let me see if I can find which lodge he belonged to. Commander during the 7 Years' War. So, Major General James Wolfe, he was appointed second lieutenant at the age of 14 in his father's regiment of Marines in 1742. He transferred to the 12th Regiment of Foot, where he served in active service against the French in the War of Austrian Succession. Not much over 16, he had become adjutant of his battalion. Little over a year later, he was serving as a brigade major. He was then sent home to take part against the Jacobite uprising under Prince Charles Edward Stuart, the Young Pretender. James Wolfe was at Falkirk and Culloden as an aide-de-camp to General Hawley. He left the regiment on promotion in 1758, and in the following year became famous as Major General Wolfe for the capture of Quebec on the Plains of Abraham. Wolfe died on the battlefield shortly after learning of his victory. It is sometimes claimed that the leader of the French forces, the Marquis de Montcalm, was also a Freemason, but this is unsubstantiated. It is claimed that he was a member of Minden Military Lodge. So Major General James Wolfe, January 2nd, 1727 to September 13th, 1759. Claimed to be a member of Minden Military Lodge. He was identified in sources from Richmond Masonic Hall and Zetland Wilson Lodge. He fought alongside his rival, Marquis de Montcalm. His most famous battle was with French General Montcalm in the Battle of the Plains of Abraham. Freemasonry at that time was present in Canada via the regiments that served under Wolfe, which helped spread the practice of Freemasonry across the globe. I've said it a few times, right, when it came to the ways that Freemasonry spread throughout the world, and this is particularly appropriate for this live stream. The main way it spread was through the military, through military encampments, through military bases. through military regiments, right? In Canada, again, you saw it coming from Britain into Canada in military regiments, spreading throughout Canada as the military spread throughout Canada and the regiments therein. The second way was through economic expansion, through trading companies, things like that. But in the case of General James Wolfe, it seems as though the way he joined Freemasonry and then spread it was through regiments therein. Rock Nation, I might remember if you hit the like and subscribe button. Oh, richmondhall.ca talks about this as well. Here it is. Freemasons have, so this is from richmondhall.ca. Freemasons have practiced our craft for more than 300 years in Canada. In large part, Freemasonry spread across the globe as European and American armies visited new lands. In 1759, the War for Quebec was marked with two Freemasons forging this nation's with their own sacrifice. With an E, Wolf with an E. Wolfe. In 1759, the War for Quebec was marked with two Freemasons forging this nation with their own sacrifice. General Louis Joseph, Marquis de Montcalm de Saint-Véran, and General James Wolfe died as brothers on the field of battle. Following the War of 1812, many British commissioned and non-commissioned officers were encouraged to settle in Canada. Richmond Hill was one such region where retired militia built their homes, raised crops and families. So it should not be a surprise that Freemasons have met regularly in Richmond Hill for more than 200 years. And that is 112 Crosby Avenue, Richmond Hill, Ontario, L4C 9N5. So there you go. Those are three potential, or those are actually four soldiers who are themselves also Masons, or four famous Canadian soldiers, famous Canadian military heroes who are also themselves, or were themselves, Freemasons. Be prepared to see some possible clips or posts or quizzes about them. And yes, Mr. Keeps is Wolfe. By the way, just a reminder, Crunch Daniels, you keep saying that. I don't think that's the case. I do want to remind people once again, please make sure that you consider becoming a member either of our Patreon or our YouTube before the 21st of November. Because on the 21st of November, I will have two exclusive live streams. One will be exclusive for Patreon members, and one will be exclusive for YouTube members. So I hope you will consider. Becoming again a member therein. You can do it for free. However, it is that you choose to do so. And then this will be exclusive to Patreon members and exclusive to exclusive to Patreon members and exclusive to YouTube members. It's a chance for you to talk with me directly as a member and with other members. I'm going to be asking for feedback, advice, topics, things you want to see me discuss, things you feel like I'm doing not such a great job on, and things you think I could do a better job on, and things you think I'm doing well. What do you want to see? What do you want me to talk about? I do want to make sure I am, to a certain extent, prioritizing some of my, or I do want to make sure I'm prioritizing those people who are members. It is truly appreciated. It's thanks to you I can make this channel operate, whether you are a Patreon member, a YouTube member. So please consider becoming a member of either the Patreon, patreon.com/Square and Compass, or YouTube. And on the 21st of November, we will be having live streams that are exclusive for members. At 2 p.m., we will have a Patreon exclusive live stream from 2 to 3. If you're a Patreon member, you can find the link and take part in the Patreon exclusive live stream. And then at 3 p.m., an hour later, we'll have a exclusive live stream for YouTube members as well. So please sign up for that. All right, let's give it a bit more time, maybe 10 more minutes. Let's see if anybody else jumps on to say hello. And please, it's not too late to hit that like and subscribe button. I will be back on tonight at 1 a.m. as well, so please keep that in mind. And thank you, as always, everybody who has joined. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Just waiting to see if anyone jumps in the chat, says hello. Not too late to like, not too late to subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on social media, as I always try to mention. I got my Twitter, I got my Blue Skies, I got all that good jazz. Oof. Chicago is, I guess, going through quite the blizzard right now. As someone who loves Chicago, I hope everybody in Chicago, I hope all my friends are keeping yourself safe. Um, I guess as safe as, safe, warm. If you're driving, be careful. I'm curious what the weather's gonna be like when I'm in Scotland soon, and England. I know you guys get super wet, or in England and Scotland, they're super wet, kind of mushy winters, which I'm definitely not a fan of. I prefer. Um, I don't mind cold. I like cold a lot. I don't like wet though. I like dry cold. Tropilum. Nobody can see what you said, but I have no idea what you're talking about. We're gonna give this another, we'll give it till 2, so another 5 minutes. Interesting enough, on a side note, I just saw, completely unrelated to this, but I just saw Frankenstein last night. I liked it. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it very much. DDA, welcome back. I think I've seen you on the stream before. How's it going? Thank you for being here. Please hit like and subscribe if you are new, but I don't think you are. So welcome. How's it going, DDA? I'm going to finish this stream pretty soon. Uh, so just hanging out with people, seeing how they're doing. No rush at all. I'm returning. Yes, I thought so. We're talking a little bit about Remembrance Day. I talked about some famous Canadian, or not even famous, but some heroes of the Canadian military who are also Freemasons. There's several, um, which just demonstrates the level of service with which Freemasons are, you know, Freemasons kind of carry with them. Oh my gosh, I just saw Chicago is going through an absolute crazy snowstorm at the moment. So, someone who loves Chicago. So, DDA, how are you doing? How is your week going? I know it's just started, but I hope it's going well. Thank you. I mean, that's kind of the goal, right? To talk about what I love, which is Freemasonry, to share what I love, to turn passion into profession. So I appreciate that. Holy cow, 8 to 10 inches of snow are expected to fall in Chicago. I was thinking of talking about a little bit about the Affordable Care Act in the States, and again, why I think it matters to Freemasonry, why I think it's important to Freemasonry. Because as cost of living goes up, the amount of money the average man will have to spend on Freemasonry is going to go down. So, and that includes on their dues. Lots of ice in, yes. I mean, I love Chicago. I have a lot of friends in Chicago. So, again, just be safe. Everybody watching this, if you're from Chicago, be safe, be careful. Avoid the roads if you can help it. Stay warm. Check in on people if you think that they might be in trouble. I mean, I do. I mean, I speak exclusively for myself, right? I would consider myself conservative. Um, I actually volunteered. I didn't volunteered. I volunteered for many years for the Conservative Party here in Canada when it was under leadership of Stephen Harper, and then afterwards as well. Um, I I was an intern in the office of the Prime Minister. However, as of 2025, I mean, I don't think I've changed, but I think the Conservative Party and conservatism have changed so much. You would never see me voting for either a Republican if I lived in the States or, a Conservative Party here in Canada. At least not anytime soon. So in Canada, I vote Liberal. If I lived in the States, I would vote Democratic, because I think the those parties have The Conservatives of Canada and the Republicans of the States have gone off the rail. I don't know who they are or to what you're referring, so I did not see that. Never say they, Rainy girl. That is a piece of advice I will give you for whatever it's worth. Never say they. It lacks specificity. Who is taking land away from whom? So the First Nations people are having their land taken away, or they are taking land away? They are claiming land. Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, I can't imagine anything is actually going to, take place. You can't be forcing people from their homes, whatever they may say, but we'll see. We don't know how it's going to go, right? But I tend not to worry about that stuff too much. I suspect it'll get itself sorted. Oh my gosh, thunderstorm in Chicago during the snow. I feel scared and lonely. Well, I think I think fear, loneliness, I think those types of feelings, the best way to combat against them for me is purpose, right? I think that's the key is finding a purpose. If you have purpose, you have a reason to keep going, then you can move past whatever fear and loneliness you might be feeling, right? So you need to find something you care about, find something you love, and let that fuel you. And I think by doing so, you will be able to not just push back against, not just push back against fear, loneliness, but push back against despondency, sadness, anger, discouragement, the million other things that causes us to want to quit, want to get scared and lonely. It was not near what's going on right now in Joliet in Chicago. It seems like an absolutely insane storm that's hitting them right now. Um, we had a snowstorm yesterday, not nearly as much as otherwise. You're welcome, Pastor. I try my best. And again, I think scared and lonely. Usually, I think those are probably more second. What's the word? They are like the secondary emotions, right? I think usually there's another feeling that comes first before the feeling of being afraid or loneliness. But again, I think if you have a purpose, it won't take away the feelings of fear and loneliness necessarily. But I think what it will do is allow you to feel those feelings and still move forward. But Dex, not snowy anymore. Um, it was though. I wonder if CNN is saying anything about this because this is crazy. Nothing on CNN about these storms yet. Just the storms in Chicago, crazy storms. Any Masons affected by it, if whatever happens, let me know. If your lodges are affected by it, if you know of brethren who maybe get injured driving, whatever it is, it seems like it's a crazy storm right now. Rondo, what won't get sorted? I must have missed what you said above. No, I mean we had a snowstorm here in Windsor, but it wasn't terrible. And supposedly we're supposed to get really nice weather tomorrow. It's going to feel more like spring. So who knows? Who knows why, or who knows the weather? But one thing I always do say is whenever there is some type of major weather event, a hurricane, a tornado, an earthquake, a typhoon, I always try to see if I can, a flood, see if I can find any either A, Masons and Masonic lodges that have been affected by it. Um, Masonic lodges experiencing damage, Masons needing assistance. But I also look for the relief efforts either being assisted by or otherwise um, organized by Masonic lodges. And almost every natural disaster weather event that you see, again, whether it be a flood, a hurricane, a typhoon, an earthquake, you almost always see Masons getting together, wildfires. You see Masons getting together to provide assistance and help. You saw that recently with the Los Angeles wildfires, with the floods in Texas. You saw that with wildfires in Alberta. I believe we're seeing that right now in the Philippines. Oh, well, random and without context comments are always fun. How's it going, Rondo? I hope you're doing well. We're going to give this another couple minutes, and then, like I said, we will hit like, sorry, you guys can like and subscribe. I'm going to be ending this stream, but I'll be back on tonight. Harry's favorite bar steward from the Legion on Harry's YouTube. How's it going? I think my dad's favorite bar steward is whichever bar steward is providing him with beer. I suspect that is how you define his favorite. So, um, whomever is giving him beer at the time is probably his favorite. Things are well. It's Monday, so there's that. Hey, that's right. Monday is the start of a great week, right? Um, so I'm sure it's going to be a great week for you, Rondo. As for everybody watching that, how many times have Masons saved the world? Well, to my knowledge, Masons have never saved the world. Um, However, Masons have, if not saved, at least helped their communities. Again, if you want to look at, for example, the Masonic Charitable Foundation out of England, they list a lot of the Masonic relief and charitable efforts that English Masons or United Grand Lodge of England Masons have done, whether it be donations to food banks, sports, like youth sports clubs, Alzheimer's research, cancer research. There's the Masonic Medical Research Institute. Again, there was the relief efforts for wildfire victims in Los Angeles, flood victims in Texas. A few years ago, wildfire relief efforts in Alberta, and then recently in Manitoba. Um, uh, well, my pops never went to. He was born after. He was too young for World War II. But give him a free beer, absolutely. Um, but then also we talk about Freemasons saving the world. There's been many, I've talked about this before. I know at least two Freemasons who would have ended up homeless and on the streets were it not for the lodge stepping in and providing benevolence. So, what's the old expression? Save a life, save the world. I don't know if we're saving lives, but we're definitely saving people's homes, people's families, right? Providing food for people, providing shelter for people. Um, in making the world a healthier place by providing social connections. As the Surgeon General of the United States noted a couple years ago, loneliness is a major pandemic issue affecting people's health and well being. And Freemasons are helping people feel connected, not as lonely, and the health benefits of that, not just for them, but for those around them. If you're healthier, you don't need as many resources from hospital, from medical, centers. Therefore, other people who need them more can get them. Everybody benefits. So, whether or not Freemasonry is saving the world, it's certainly saving people. But yes, you heard it from Tahari's favorite barkeep. Give Harry a free beer. It would be much appreciated. Well, I think again, I wouldn't say save the world. I mean, it's appreciated, but that's I think a little bit too grand. Having said that, a lot of our good works are uncredited. That comes from a lot of different places, maintaining it, being uncredited. Part of it is based on um, kind of modesty. Part of it's based on this Masonic idea that it's better to um, the work should speak for themselves and you shouldn't want credit. The problem with not wanting credit, with being uncredited in our efforts, is it allows, right? If we don't get the credit for it, the conspiracy theorists get to run wild and say whatever they want to say about Freemasonry and talk negative about us. And because we're not taking credit for the positive work we're doing, you end up not having a counter to that. So, for better or worse, I think in 2025, many years before as well, but in 2025 and forward, we need to be willing to take credit for our good works and our good efforts. Hello, darkness. Hello, Pro Rainbow. I've not seen Absolute Batman, but Batman is a Freemason according to the comic books, where he references Masonic rituals therein and says he remembers this ritual. So, if he's not a Mason, he's somehow learned of our Masonic rituals. Hello, darkness. I see you. You're saying hi an awful lot. You really want to say hello. So, hello. About to say, yes, I'm with Rondo on this one. Relax. You're doing fine. I was going to end the stream earlier, but I figured I'd wait a couple more minutes just because we have some people jumping on. You can chill. You can also do a 99-cent super chat. It would be much appreciated. I will for sure. So, Pro Rainbow, welcome back. Thank you for being here. Interesting. COP30, which I guess is a climate change conference, is taking place in Brazil. I've talked before about not so much climate change specifically, but what we as Freemasons can do regarding just environmental, being better for the environment. I think a lot of Masonic lodges could work on that. Whether it be making our buildings more energy efficient, more sustainable, even something as, having more effort and more emphasis on recycling, um, um, composting, food waste, things like that. No worries, Pro Rainbow. Anybody who's here new, please hit like and subscribe. We are probably going to be ending this stream very shortly. Again, be back on at 1 a.m. Tomorrow, I will be live streaming from the Cenotaph and Remembrance Day services briefly, and then I'll be back on at 1 p.m. So, all right, I think what we can do is we can end this stream now. Thank you guys for joining, and I'll see you all soon. Pro bono means free, Pastor Sempa. Pro bono means free. It's like a legal term. I don't know if people are using it more frequently than normal. I don't think I've heard it being used more frequently than normal. So I'm not sure. Sorry, I can't be of more help or assistance on that one. I know what it means anyways. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. It does not, but that's very funny. Unless you spell Bono, Bonno, or something. But no, it's not a U2 reference. All right, I'll see you guys later.